How did working with Alice in Chains on three of their records, are they? Is there anything unique about them compared to some of the other bands you've worked with in terms of their studio approach?
They're more old school. They're not trying to jam everything down in like a couple of days. Like we got to get the drums done in a couple of days, and then we'll start on guitars. It's more like we're going to do the drums until they're done, and everybody's cool, and then we're going to start all the guitars. We're going to make sure all the guitars are done, and they're just not in any type of a rush. They want they want their record to sound the way they want it to sound, like in their heads. Like they have a high bar of where they want it to be, and we'll take the time to get it there.
So since obviously Alice in Chains, they've had two separate eras, right? The Lane era and
Yes.
the Will era. Do you know if they've approached like writing music and recording music differently with Will than they did with Lane?
I wasn't there for the Lane sessions, but on these last three, Jerry will come up with, he'll demo pretty much everything, he'll sketch everything out, and then he brings it to the band and they flesh that out. Will submit songs, Sean had some songs, Mike Inez will bring in some bass riffs, and, Jerry will, put together like full, arranged demos, and, it's a democratic process, and they go through it until they've got the record they want to have.
That's awesome. And of the three records you worked on with them, is there any one that was your favorite to work on?
I'd say, well, they're all great, and for different reasons. The first one, because it was the first one, and meeting those guys and getting to know all of them, we were at Dave Grohl's studio, which was super fun, and then we went to Henson Studios, and kind of created a home there. Devil Put Dinosaurs here, we start to finish at Henson, and that's a couple miles from my house. So that was fun too. I'd have to say Rainier Fog, just because I got to go to Seattle and track where those guys did their last record with Lane, and that's where it got emotional for those guys. Not that they got weird, but they knew they were back, and the last time they were there, they were with Lane, and now we're here with Will, and two new guys, Nick and myself, and we dug in deep and set up and recorded over the summer. It was pretty awesome.
I've seen some videos where Jerry can really shred. Do you know if they would ever make a record where they go more along the lines of being, I guess, technical, so to speak, like more like a technical kind of record?
Jerry likes crafting his solos. He can get flashy too, but I think he likes to be able to sing them in his head.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
So, who knows? Like this solo record, there's a lot of guitars, but not a lot of. There's solos, but it's not like a shredder record.
So for you personally, having been an Alice in Chains fan prior to actually working with Alice in Chains, what was that experience like for you the first day that you actually got to work with them in the studio?
It was pretty insane. Okay, so let's pan back. This goes back, I think, to about 2008. I was on vacation, and my producer, Nick Raskulenix, calls me up and is like, he's like, Big, how do you feel about doing an Alice in Chains record? And I was like, I'm a guitar player, and of course, that would be amazing. So, we started at 606 Dave Grohl's studio, and then, that was right when, the band were kind of like, getting their things together. Everyone was like, they're all newly sober pretty much, and Jerry had some this crazy scraggly long beard, and he was pretty surly back then. He had his wall up for a while until, it took a couple of weeks. But, we did that record. It turned out great. We did, I was there for all of the demos for Devil Put Dinosaurs here, and, we just, it was a closer relationship because I'm there, in his most vulnerable spot, right where he's creating. And, we just became cool friends that way. And then, we did the record, and, same thing with Rainier Fog.
So just about yourself then, how did you personally get into the music world?
I got the chore or task of building the Alice in Chains end cap for Dirt. and it was like a contest, and you know, we played that thing all day long, and it was amazing. So, you know, I'm building this giant end cap with all the, you know, the album artwork and the release date and all the stacking of all the CDs. Anyways, go, you know, 2008 when those guys all roll into the studio. I'm like, you know, okay, this is really happening. But I think the most exciting part was when Nick and I were dialing in Jerry's guitar sound. Jerry's like, you know, all right, let's start guitars tomorrow. And we're like, all right. So me and Nick get all the heads together and we pick up his Rampage and, you know, we start playing through and I'm like, wow. You know, and Nick is like, dude, that's it. That guitar is the sound. Mostly it's his hands, but yeah, that Rampage is something pretty unique. And, you know, you play that through his amps and you can get pretty close. My parents owned a jazz club growing up. And so I was just kind of exposed to music early on. You know, I'm like a 5-year-old walking through the jazz club and I've got, you know, this, you know, whoever's on stage or what they call it a stage, it's like this high. You know, all these great musicians that now I look back and I'm like, wow, I was hanging out with Louis Bellson, you know, all these weird things or Lionel Hampton. And it's just like, okay, you know, rolling in and, you know, the drummer's hitting the snare and it's making my eyes blink and I don't know why. And, you know, because they're really going off and, you know, go see my parents or, you know, my mom brings us in, say bye to my dad, go home, go to sleep. But I think it was my neighborhood friends, you know, all of a sudden, you know, Van Halen 2 came out, or Van Halen 1 came out and they're like, you got to hear this and put it on. And I instantly knew, I'm like my brain melted because, you know, I'll hear jazz guitar or whatever's going on in the club. My parents, you know, weren't, you know, big rockers at all. And then, you know, that was all my friends, you know, and, you know, just finding metal, whatever we can get our hands on. And so we started a band and I've just been playing ever since.
That is awesome. I had a very similar experience with Van Halen. I was 14, I think. Yeah. And the first time I heard Eruption, my brain melted, basically, like you said. And it's funny because the parts where he's shredding in the first half of that solo, that wasn't as impressive to me as the tapping, even though the tapping is a lot easier, right?
Yeah.
Still, when I heard that, I was like, what am I listening to? You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
It was just crazy.
That was my wedding song.
Really?
When I came out, yeah, it was pretty awesome. It was like, and I walked out. It was pretty awesome.
That's hilarious. My cousins got married last year. My cousins, no. I had 2 cousins who got married on, like, different, you know what I mean? So, one of my cousins, their intro was the Game of Thrones intro, which is pretty cool.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe for more because there is a lot more to come. All the videos on my channel are original. I'm the one filming, editing, and conducting all the interviews. So if you guys like what you see and you want to support, the best way to do so is honestly just to subscribe. Thanks for watching.